G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. And as always, it is my pleasure and privilege to talk about rugby. And yes, so third round of Six Nations and the opening round of Super Rugby has left a lot of people wondering about the referee, of course. But before we get on to that, I would like to talk about the new technology that's been implemented by World Rugby that was used at the Super Rugby first round and the Six Nations, which is the new mouthguard technology. This was a little bit bizarre for me, to be honest. I'm not sure if there were just some games that didn't use the mouthguard, but according to reports, it should be. All the games should be using mouthguards. And it was a little bit absurd at times where players were just like taken off the field. There was one, the Chiefs, where Antoine Dupont was taken off the field in a really crucial moment of the game. And Antoine Dupont just like, what are you talking about? I'm perfectly fine. And it was forced off the field to take the HRA, whilst his team was basically on the verge of, it could be on the verge of losing to the Crusaders in a monumental match for Super Rugby. And it was really disruptive of that. So obviously there was a lot of concern raised by everyone. Greg Townsend came in and raised concern as well. The biggest mind-blowing moment for me when it comes to the mouthguard technology was when the Hurricanes, right? The Hurricanes played Western Force. Right at the end, there was a head-on-head collision between Geordie Barrett, and I think one of the Western Force player got sent off for it. But basically, the Western Force player had a broken nose. It was bleeding down his nose. Geordie Barrett had a cut right above his eyebrow. And Geordie Barrett being, a tough nut, right? One of the, I really started to like Geordie Barrett just because of how tough he is. He was so tough, he realized that he didn't want to get off for a HRA. He was clearly hurt. He saw the blood. He felt the blood dripping down his face. He immediately got up on his feet and just indicated for the cut doctor to come on and patch him up, and just acted like it was completely normal. And he was not taken off for an HRA at all, which I thought was really bizarre because there was clear head-to-head collision, and it was so bad that the Western Force player was taken off, and Geordie Barrett had a clear cut on his face, with literally blood pouring down his face. They didn't take that off for HRA, so I don't know what the mouthguard was doing when Antoine Dupont was perfectly fine, no cuts. In fact, there was no one even noticed that he actually occurred a head. No one even noticed that he actually got hit in the head, and he was taken off at a crucial moment of the match. So yeah, there was obviously a lot of concern about the inconsistency, and so the spokesperson from the mouthguard company has come out and give us some numbers, and this actually got me more concerned than if she hadn't come out and said any of these things to the public, because it sounded like to me it's a marketing bullshit that is there to push and sell this technology to rugby, to justify the money that is spending on them for Rugby Australia, because the numbers that they're giving us are absolute fucking garbage, by the way. So yeah, let's have a look at some of the bullshit that came out of this person's mouth. So she stated, right, Starling is the name of the person, that this mouthguard had 9,500 head accelerations in 9 games so far. That is to put into perspective regarding how rare and small these numbers are in terms of players coming off. That is just absolute, nonsense numbers. 9,500, not 9,500 players, not 9,500, collusions, 9,500 head acceleration, right? So me doing that is considered a head acceleration, and I could be taken off for a head HRA. And she's saying basically the number of players that have been taken off as a result of how many accelerations there are is really 0.1% of the impact events. That is actually completely not true, because the measurement is not impact, the measurement is head acceleration. That is a head acceleration. That is a head acceleration. I could be jumping up and down, celebrating, scoring a try. That could be considered as head acceleration, right? That's why you had 9,500 head accelerations in just 9 games. It's complete, utter nonsense that she's spewing. It's just like purely spewed out for marketing purposes, right? It's literally what you put out in like false, misleading marketing, saying, "Hey, there's only 0.1% people taking off the field from HIA," when you're measuring 9,500 head movements and saying there's 0.1%. That is absurd. That is actually absurd. The way that you the numbers that you came out with makes absolutely no sense. If you had 9,500 actual head-on-head impact, and there's only 0.1% of people taking off from HIA, right? Like that's basically what she's trying to make it sound like, even though it's completely absurd the way that they're measuring the number of events that occurs to what like that they're measuring. Like, it's absolutely absurd. And then they're further on going on to say, oh yeah, obviously it's for player welfare. We've got to look after players, man. Please give us more money for this mouthguard technology. And it's, yeah, really concerning how she's just like spewing absolute garbage marketing to push their technology, when it was like, I witnessed myself 2 players colliding their heads, and Jordy Barrett just got up and got him patched up and played on, and it wasn't taken off. Like, how did you measure that? Where was your head? Like what? Was it no head acceleration because they literally just collided and they did not? Like, how does it work? Right? It was just absurd how bad this technology actually was. And there was players walking off like, I don't know what happened. I didn't get hit. And they're just like, yep, you got a HIA coming out for you, mate. Yeah, really absurd. So with that being said, let's talk about the referee. Let's talk about the big controversy out of the Six Nations on the weekend. Pablo Garbisi really shouldn't have apologized. There was, I did a review on this game. You can go have a look at the review. But yeah, there was a lot of basically fake charge downs that was kind of like attempted against Pablo Garbisi, who was taking a penalty goal, which should not be allowed. You should not be allowed to move at all. And there was a water boy on the field, which was obstructing the front of the goalpost, like standing in the middle of the goalpost, which shouldn't be allowed as well. So there was a lot of issues that should have made that the missed goal kick a retake. But for me, I thought the Italians, they were celebrating, they were high-fiving each other, and really, I don't think that, like, I went back and watched the video on my review that the Italians actually lost about 5 to 10 yards off where the penalty should be, because nobody was keeping, like, everybody was celebrating too hard, and nobody was actually keeping track where the goal kick. I think the referees obviously got distracted as well. But nobody was keeping track where the ball should be the penalty should be taken. And Pablo Garbisi was actually taking the penalty about 7 yards, 5 to 7 yards, maybe even 10 yards, depends on the angle of the camera, where the penalty should have been. So if he was actually 5 yards closer, that would have been a difference between winning the game and hitting the goalpost. Right? Just the thought that I saw. So plenty to learn for the Italians. Just, really, like, that shouldn't have happened. Like, as a player, the onus is on you to make sure that you get every bit of advantage you can out of this goal kick. Try to nudge the ball forward a tiny bit, at half a yard or something. Try to get that extra bit of distance, extra bit of advantage for you to get the goal. But no, nobody kept in track. The ball was actually moved back quite a bit of distance. And Pablo Garbisi missed that one, hit the goalpost, leading into a draw against France in France. And this obviously led to a lot of pundits coming out, both in Ireland and domestically in France, suspecting that Fabien Galthies might be facing the axe, which I really highly doubted that's gonna happen. I mean, the French are not that stupid. Galthies is the best coach the French have seen, like, ever. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I do think that Galthies has lost a bit of mojo ever since Antoine Dupont has betrayed him. His son, his adopted son, the guy that he's given everything to, including the captaincy, left him to play for Sevens for a gold medal. Oh, how heartbroken he is. I mean, he does look like a dad whose son, like, left him or something, like, lost the child sometimes when you see him on the side of the field. But yeah, this French team is not looking great without Dupont, and also without Ntamack as well. If Ntamack was playing, I think that without Dupont wouldn't be nearly as much of an issue. But yeah, Fabien Galtier is looking a little bit lost at the moment, but I think he's definitely not going to get the axe. Even if you lose both games coming up, he's definitely not going to get the axe. Another guy that has been a bit underperforming, to be really frank, like grossly underperforming in my opinion, is Jonathan Danty. He hasn't performed well in the first 2 games, missed tackles and just out of position, and he got a red card against Italy, which is one of the reasons why the French was under the pumps from the Italians in the second half. And he's going to be facing 5 weeks suspension for Danty, which means he's going to miss all 6 nations and 3 extra games in the top 14. And if he does a tackle school, it's going to reduce down to 4 matches, but he's getting 5-match suspension, Jonathan Danty. So Dupont did play his first 7th game in Vancouver. They came 3rd. Yeah, not exactly a win that everybody was hoping for them as well. Who won the game? Was it, I think New Zealand came 2nd. Who came 1st? Canada? Wait, did Canada win? What? Anyway, I don't know. I don't care. Somebody won, but France came 3rd. And yeah, not really I mean, it's okay. At least he's getting a start, and Mike Hooper hasn't. I don't think Mike Hooper had a start yet. So, yeah. England now was playing in the Calcutta Cup, lost to Scotland at Twickenham. Another huge upset. 4 years in a row now, England has lost to Scotland. Van der Merwe, the South African import, scored 3 tries. 3 tries against England at Twickenham. I thought the biggest issue was probably the replacement of Freddie Stewart by Furbank. A lot of you guys have been telling me in the comments that Furbank has been really good in the Premiership. But yeah, I thought, in a game where Finn Russell's bringing in so much variety in the kicking game, I thought it was just perfectly suited for someone like Freddie Stewart, who's really good on the high ball. Yeah, sure, he might be a little bit slower around the park, and his kicking game might be whatever, but just being able to diffuse a lot of that threat would have made it. Yeah, it would have made it like literally there was one of the tries was scored to Van der Merwe because of a crossfield kick. So a lot of these things might have been mitigated if Freddie Stewart was playing. But yeah, sorry to hear that Jamie George, his mother passed away before the match as well, and he has to, carry on playing the game as the captain for his team. So yeah, a bit sad story there. Yeah, speaking of the sevens, the Fijian team is in a lot of trouble these days. They're looking at defending the gold medal at the French Olympics, and there's a lot of people kind of oh yeah, this is actually not the article. There was a different article, but there was a lot of people that's kind of come out and said that the Fijians need a new coach. And the coach kept on insisting that he's building towards the Olympics. We're building towards the future, Eddie Jones style, using the Eddie Jones excuse. And yeah, the Fijians finished 4th in the Vancouver, 4th or 5th. But yeah, they weren't looking too sharp going into the Olympics. But anyway, what this article is actually about is a new tournament in the Pacific region, and I guess it's called the Pacific Nations Cup, actually getting expanded. The Pacific Nation Cup was consisted of Australia A, Japan, Tonga, Fiji, and Samoa. Australia A has been dropped out, so it was just it's kind of dropped out. So now they've added in Canada and America to play in separate tournaments. So Japan, Canada, America will be in one tournament. Fiji, Samoa, and Tonga will be in the second pool, and the 2 pools will play like a final match in the end of the year, and which will be basically like a finals playoff, which will be hosted in either Japan or America in alternate years. This year will be in Japan, next year will be in America. It's just purely trying to funnel interest into the 2 like developing regions, especially USA. I think they're hosting the World Cup in 2031. They are really trying to boost the two interest in those 2 nations, and yeah, they're gonna be expanding that, which will give a lot of these nations a little bit more opportunity to play. I was very impressed by Tonga's performance and Samoa's performance, especially at the Rugby World Cup, and I really wanted to see them play more games, especially against the All Blacks, and maybe not the All Blacks because don't really want to see them just get flogged, but playing teams that maybe France potentially get a win there with Samoan team. Just get a bit of confidence built up in these teams and get them more experience. Maybe Wales will be a good option. Wales, France, and maybe even England will be a good option for these teams. Wallabies definitely, but don't send them to play blowout matches against the All Blacks and maybe the South Africans, but definitely give them some opportunity to win games against big nations as well. And I'll be very keen to see those games happening, not in the tournament, not in the rugby championship, but like in against Argentina, it'd be good game as well. But like in it's like like autumn nations sort of additional games will be really nice to see. So Sportsweek has given an update on the fly half Marcus Smith. He's been out for a few weeks now. He's said that he will be ready to play against Ireland in Twickenham in a next week, not this weekend, next weekend. So it'll be good to see if whether or not he gets put forth ahead of George Ford. So yeah, this is already talk about the Fijian Sevens is struggling a little bit. There's some talks about the coach getting axed. Rassie has talked about his alignment camp. We know this already on Twitter. But the South Africans do these alignment camps before the kickoff of the July Test Series. This will be against Ireland. This will be very, very difficult. But these alignment camps generally consist of people from different regions because of their season schedule. So the first one is obviously pretty much it is just local players. The next one will consist of international players. Usually they do this sort of thing. And then the one after that will be like, the next one might be like your Japan players. And the one after that will be like European players, usually how that goes, or basically bringing everybody together. So these alignment camps are just different regions, essentially, because of their availability. And then they just put people together and say keep everyone, in the loop of the Springboks bubble, essentially, and keep everybody aligned, as the name suggests. World Rugby is having a conference with an annual conference. I didn't know this conference existed, called The Shape of the Game, which talks about some of the key issues about refereeing, about speeding up the game, and about fan feedback. I got a few feedbacks for you, World Rugby, okay? How about stop bashing scrummaging and really get your commentators to commentate the scrummaging like, they're supposed to do, pay to do, right? Instead of saying, oh no, I don't want to see this. How about give us better scrummaging commentary? It's probably the only thing I'm really asking for. It's funny, I watched sailing. Not sailing, but it was like a clip of sailing. How exciting the commentary were when it comes to sailing. If you turn on the commentary, it's like the boringest thing you're ever gonna see. A nice view, but like really, like it's not really that exciting watching. But the commentary just really added a lot of spice to the sport and really made it sound like it was very exciting. And maybe do something like that. Get some better commentary in the scrummaging and keep me interested. And this is my feedback for you, World Rugby. Now, moving on to Super Rugby now. Obviously, the Melbourne Rebels is going to go under, and there's some talks that the Rebels are going to merge with Moana Pacifica, who was looking really good on the weekend, by the way, playing the Highlanders. Gave Highlanders a good run for their money, at least. There's some talks that the Jaguares might be returning to Super Rugby. There has been an invitation for them to rejoining Super Rugby in 2026, and this invitation was sent last year in September. I think we really need to just get the South Africans back on board, and really, the holiday is over for all of you South Africans playing the easy games against the Northern Hemispheres. Really starting to come back and have yourselves some real rugby games against some Kiwi teams, against the Crusaders, and maybe even against the Brumbies. Have some real rugby games under your belt because anyway. So, hopefully they will extend that and really just get rid of the URC and get the South Africans back. I know you might lose money, but who cares? It's just money, okay? You need better rugby, which is more important, okay? Who cares if you're going to lose millions of dollars if you're rejoining Super Rugby, right? It's more important to play good rugby than to make money. Otherwise, you'd be playing for Scotland, right? So, moving on. Super Rugby now, the Super round is coming back. So there was a lot of All Blacks being rested for the first round of Super Rugby. And the Crusaders going to get a few big names back. And Tamati Williams got a hamstring injury. So big names back for the for Crusaders: David Havili and Fletcher Newell. Fletcher, because of the All Blacks protocol of rest, that's a pretty big return. Obviously, this has led to a lot of people kind of questioning how this like All Blacks resting thing is being done. As Justin Marshall pointed out that Ethan Blackadder is technically injured, but also under All Blacks resting period, who'd only played one game at the Rugby World Cup, and he was being injured before going to Rugby World Cup as well. So he hadn't played a game at all, and he's also like forced to be resting as a result of the All Blacks selection, guidelines, I guess. So there was a bit of a concern last week when Damien McKenzie was taken off just after halftime against the Crusaders. He obviously playing for the Chiefs, and it looked like he tweaked his knee, and I was like, oh no, please not, because obviously Damien McKenzie is the most exciting player to watch in Super Rugby, probably the most exciting player to watch in all rugby in the world right now, in club rugby, and he came off, and I thought, oh man, that doesn't look good. But luckily, he's okay. He's just had a bruised rib. His leg was completely fine. It looked like he tweaked his knee or something. But it's good to see that he'll be able to play in the Super round this weekend. Jordie Barrett will be getting his 100th cap. Like I said, he had a massive cut on the weekend. No HRA, but so tough. Just absolute old school toughness out of Jordie Barrett. Something that we really need in rugby, especially in the All Blacks. And Jordie Barrett, man, really, really a lot of respect for that toughness. Speaking of toughness, the Reds tough one over the Waratahs, who are apparently not that tough at all. Taking 3 points is never going to be the way to win rugby. The Reds really showed the Waratahs didn't take any penalties at 3, just pressured on with tries, and eventually the Waratahs just folded 40 points to 22, which I'm really happy about for the Reds. The Brumbies easily trampled over the Rebels, one of the worst things I've ever seen in my whole life in rugby. The Rebels, 17 points down, by the way, having just missed the penalty goal right in front. Carter Gordon, of course, hitting the goalpost right in front of the goal, right? And then the Rebels had a penalty advantage on the 22-meter line, right? So desperate for points, one of the Rebels players, Wilkins, picked up the ball from the back of the ruck and then immediately dropped it on purpose in front of the referee and said, "We'll take the 3." That's actually a deliberate knock-on, right? I think that should be a penalty to the Brumbies. That's literally a deliberate knock-on. He picked up the ball and dropped it in front of him on purpose. I don't know. That's the definition of a deliberate knock-on, right? But anyway, so I've never seen that before. I've never seen a team having an advantage on the 22-meter line, no less, and just dropping the ball cold so they can take the 3 points on purpose. Like, that is like the worst thing I've ever seen in my life in rugby. And that's from the Rebels. Thank goodness they're going to be going. Oh, yeah. Anyway, moving on. Lolakai Foketi had a bit of neck injury in training and was taken to the hospital last week, which means he wasn't able to play for the Waratahs on the weekend, but he is going to be okay. He's going to be okay, and he's going to be able to play, in a few weeks, or within a week, so it wasn't really that bad an issue, but yeah, probably had a tweaked neck or something. So the man himself was wrongfully accused of sexual assault, is back in the circle. He missed a whole year of his career. I think he should sue this person, this woman, for lying about the assault and costing him a year of his life. And he was in jail for a bit as well. So he really should sue her for every penny that she's got. And he is considering playing rugby league to the Bulldogs with Gus Gould. Not a great option because the Bulldogs is like rebuilding. So maybe he'll be maybe he'll turn the team around, but the Bulldogs are like pretty right at the bottom. Kurtley Beale will be nice to see him back to playing for the Waratahs or something. But it's a bit, it's good to see him at least getting back onto the field and get back doing what he enjoys the most. So Tuangafasi Akio Ioane returns to the Blues as part of the All Blacks setup. Finally, Waratahs big gun Nwanga Netawasi has been sit out for this weekend due to a bit of a hamstring strain at training. He's looking so big. Like, absolutely massive on the weekend against the Reds. And yeah, maybe too much creatine, mate. Like, he's just so big. Had a bit of a straining his hamstring, maybe just too much weights, too much creatine, not enough water, whatever the issue is. He's just really bulked up. He's massive compared to what he was even just last year. Like, even like, less, even at the World Cup, he looks much bigger. And yeah, so sad to see him get injured, but it is what it is. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about any of the articles this week. And thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks to the channel members, Patreon, and your generous donations. Yeah, thanks, guys. Appreciate all that. All of your financial support means a lot to me. And thanks for watching. Have a good one. I'll see you guys this weekend for Super Rugby Super Round. Have a good one. Cheers.